Welcome to Primetime Carolina. I am your host, Tanner Blue, along with my co host, Dave LaFave, in the house, getting ready to do a 2022 mock draft right in your face. And, there's three things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and everybody making a mock draft that's wrong. And that's what we're here to do today.
That's what we do, man. If there's one thing we do in this life, Tanner, it's make mistakes. And we are here to make 32 of them. Let's get it.
Hey, we are Panthers fans, so we know all about making mistakes and messing up. But in all seriousness, thank you guys for tuning in with us. We've did our own mock draft. I'm not sure. I know you guys can see mine. I'm not sure if yours is on the screen or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think mine is, but I'll
Okay,
get it up there.
that's fine. We went through and did our own separate mock drafts just to have some fun, just see what we think might happen, even though likely won't. And we're going to run through these. We'll probably do the top 10, the most in depth, and then the rest of them just kind of go through a little bit. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a ton about these prospects. This is probably one of the most blind I've ever gone into NFL draft in quite some time. So I really only know the top guys. I don't know any of the sleepers. I don't know a bunch of guys that are there to look for. I guess we'll see how it goes.
Hey, man, see how it goes. I'm going to try to put mine up there if I can.
And then obviously we'll also talk about, most importantly, what the Panthers are going to do, likely do, not do, mess up, get right. I don't know. We only have X amount of picks in this draft, so we can't mess it up that bad, can we?
I mean, if there's one thing we know about the Panthers is that they can mess up anything. So, let me see.
If you can't get yours now,
I think I just made yours go away.
Oh, really?
But anyway, there's mine. So I started Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson. When I first had the idea of Trayvon Walker, it was like considered an edgy idea, so I was really proud of it. But here we are, 3 weeks later, and Trayvon Walker is seen by a lot of people as the guy who's probably going to go number one. So, plus I like the geographical factor there, which probably sounds silly, but Georgia and Florida play in Jacksonville once every year, so I feel like there's a decent following of Georgia players in that area. Jacksonville's right near Athens. And you got Aiden Hutchinson, who went to Michigan. Obviously, Detroit's in Michigan, so I feel like there's fan bases in both of those cities who are going to be wanting to see those guys go to those teams. I don't know if that could be a factor, but just throw it in there.
I can't see your screen, but I'll just listen to what you say. I also went with Trayvon Walker number one, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really know why, other than the fact that I've seen he's been rising up draft boards really quickly in the past couple weeks. And it just seems like I feel like the consensus number one pick, if you had to ask, would be Aiden Hutchinson, but it's the Jaguars, so I feel like they won't do that. I feel like they're going to pick him. He's a DN that's not completely there yet, but he's got a lot of upside, a lot of potential. And, if you can get a good quarterback and a good defensive end, you're putting your franchise in a good place, even if you're the Jaguars.
Yeah, big facts. I think they're going to swing a little bigger. I feel like it's kind of the conversation we've had about the quarterbacks so many times over and over again. One of these guys has kind of reached their ceiling, and the other guy's ceiling is super high. It just depends on if he can get there or not.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of what I said, number two, I also went Aiden Hutchinson. I think it's for Detroit, he's the hometown kid. They need a defensive end. They need, honestly, anything. So why not get the best defensive end in the draft that some people are saying? He's from Michigan, or not from Michigan, went to college in Michigan. He's going to be right there. Same city, same place. Bring him home. I like it.
Well, I think if you talk about just, when a team is at the very top of the draft, obviously they're not very good, and you want to get as many sure things as you can. So I think if Detroit is given the opportunity to take Aiden Hutchinson right there at number two, I think he's as close to a sure thing is in this draft class. So I think they'll run that card up. And
I see him as a very, I would say Joey Bosa type player where, I think he's going to be really, really good, but you don't like when you talk about elite pass rushers in the NFL, you don't really hear his name brought up a lot, but he is a very, very good pass rusher. I think it's just, I don't know. I guess just because he maybe plays for the Chargers, small mark. Can't even say small market, but just a team that's not publicized a lot. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Joey Bosa is a really good player. I feel like Nick Bosa gets a lot more attention just because he plays for the 49ers. But if he can be anything like that, I mean, that's a damn good pick.
Yeah, I think, those guys might be a little better than he'll be, but I think he'll be very good either way. So we'll see what happens. But moving on, so I had the Texans taking Evan Neal, best tackle in the draft, or depends on who you ask, I guess, at this point, because Akeem Akunwa's shot up the board so much in that time. But either one of these guys, 3 and 4. I also kind of wanted to put Sauce Gardner right there at number 4. Um, I like him a lot, and I think the Jets have 2 picks in the top 10, and so do the Giants. So I feel like those 2 teams are going to have a real chance to build something. So I kind of had the Jets getting 2 quality high-end offensive linemen help out Zach Wilson. And then I had the Giants picking up 2 superstar defensive backs, Kyle Hamilton and Sauce Gardner. So if they could get those 2 guys, immediately their defensive backfield just takes a huge jump. Those guys are going to be awesome pros, I think. And then obviously, yeah, I had the Panthers taking Malik Willis. For the sake of my sanity and anybody else's sanity who's looking at this, I didn't throw any trades in there. Um, Quite frankly, I think if this is the way things fell, well, I don't think it even matters if this is the way things fall. I think the Panthers want to trade back. I think most likely they're going to trade back. But for the sake of doing a mock draft, I threw Malik Willis in there. We can get more into Malik Willis a little bit later. We've both agreed that he's our favorite quarterback in this draft class. So I threw him in there at number 6. I had Atlanta getting Kayvon Thibodeau. Obviously, you know, he's kind of fallen down draft boards a little bit, but he's got that elite talent that everyone's looking for. Stingley going to the Seahawks at number 9. As I said, Cross number 10 to the Jets. I had Washington. I originally had them drafting a quarterback right here. I went back and did it again. And I thought, Devin Lloyd's too good of a player. Either him or Nakobe Dean. Those guys are too good. I don't know if Washington's going to be able to pull the trigger on a quarterback right here. But it wouldn't shock me at all, obviously. Um, my second quarterback coming off the board all the way down here at 19 to the Saints was Matt Corral. In my opinion, Matt Corral is the number 2 quarterback in this class. I'm just not big on Kenny Pickett. And I feel like people are going to be surprised on draft day. I feel like Corral is going to be the number 2 quarterback taken in this draft. But I also think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens because, like I said, the Panthers are going to be real interested in trading back. Trades. I think trades are going to be a big factor in where these quarterbacks land. 13, McDuffie to the Texans. I had Garrett Wilson going 14 to the Ravens, finally getting Lamar Jackson some real help at wide receiver. I think Garrett Wilson's going to be an outstanding wide receiver in the NFL. Nakobe Dean at 15 to the Eagles. He's going to be a good player. Big fan of his. I had Jameson Wilson going to the Saints to pair with Matt Corral. Matt Corral's got a pretty big arm. And Jameson Wilson's obviously got that crazy speed. Last year, he was an unstoppable player, obviously, until he got injured. Drake London, I had 17 to the Chargers. He's, another player that I think has a real good chance to be a great player in the NFL. He's kind of, in a way, like DJ Moore in that he's a very, I don't want to say underrated, but he's a very good runner with the ball in his hands. And I think he's also got good size. So we'll see how that translates. Almost like a Mike Evans is kind of how I see him. So we'll see what happens. Help the Eagles out some more on defense with Andrew Booth at 18. Like I said, Corral at 19. Then I had Desmond Ritter going 20th to the Steelers. I just, even with Pickett on the board, the Pittsburgh guy, I just felt like Ritter was the 3rd best quarterback in this draft. That's just how I see it. Those guys are 1, 2, and 3. I think Ritter is a good player. I think, if the Steelers are going to take a shot at a quarterback, again, I don't think they're necessarily going to go for the guy who's already reached his ceiling. And I think, we saw that with Ben McAdoo. Had a press conference yesterday, and he talked about that. And I feel like that's how NFL guys see it, the same way he sees it. He's not necessarily looking for guys, who have already reached their ceiling. He's looking for the guys with the high ceiling. He's not looking for the guys who are pro ready. He's looking for the guys who have the talent. And which, by the way, he said that yesterday. So another reason you might want to look at the Panthers taking Malik Willis. I had Jordan Davis going to the Patriots. That man is a monster up front, absolute monster. He's going to tear it up. If he ends up with the Patriots, you know how well they are at scheme and defense. Chris Olave to the Packers, got to get Aaron Rodgers some help. That dude is a beast over the top. I had Linderbaum going to the Cardinals, get some protection for Kyler Murray, assuming he's there. Something else we might get into a little bit later. Devontae Wyatt from Georgia to the Cowboys, interior help. Sky Moore to the Bills, give them some more weapons. Obviously they had an epic showdown with the Chiefs last year in the playoffs that we all remember as, probably one of the greatest games we've ever seen. So, obviously they need as many weapons as they can get if they're going to make it out of the AFC, which is completely loaded right now. I had Zion Johnson. Just the Titans love to run the ball. We all know this. They're a power running team. I thought, why not give them an extra offensive lineman that they can throw in there, continue to do what they do best. This one's kind of probably one people didn't see coming. George Pickens to the Bucks. The Bucks are a hard team to figure out. They've kind of got it all going on. They really can take whatever they want in this situation and add to the team. I think George Pickens is a player who we would be talking about as a top 3 at least receiver in this draft if it wasn't for his knee injury. That dude is a monster, and I think obviously the Bucks right now are loaded, and if they can add more talent around Tom Brady to make them a better offense, why wouldn't they do it? Get Aaron Rodgers some help. Tyler Smith, Lewis Seen is a player that I don't know if he's going to go in the first round, but to me he's a ball hawking save. He's a big time player. I think a team like the Chiefs, who's kind of well established, might take a shot on him here at the end of the first round. So I had him going there. Travis Jones helping the defensive line behind that. So getting him 2 good pieces on defense to help, get Patrick Mahomes more opportunities with the ball. Then obviously we all know the Bengals offensive line is terrible. We saw that in Super Bowl. So I had them getting Raymond at 31, and then 32 is where I had Kenny Pickett going to the Lions, which is a marriage made in hell, but they need a quarterback, and that's where I had him dropping to, the 4th quarterback.
I think that was the greatest 7 minutes of my life. Right?
Dude, I was trying to speed through it, man.
I don't know if I'm going to go that in depth with my picks, but I like a lot of the things you said there.
Give me some names, man. That's all I need to see is some
okay,
names.
I'll give you some names. So where I fell off was at the 2nd pick. We've already got through those 2. So you look at 3, 4, and 5, Texans, Jets, Giants. 3, I think this could go either way. I got the Texans going with Charles Cross. I feel like every day they flip a coin and they're like, no, this guy's the best tackle in the draft. No, this guy's the best tackle in the draft. No one knows who the best tackle in the draft is. They think this guy's good. They like Davis Mills. They got Laramie Tunsil. Throw in another tackle in there. Try to get him some help. Why not? Number 4 to the Jets, I got Kayvon Thibodeau. I think he's fallen down the draft boards just a bit, but hey, the Jets, Robert Saleh, they want a good defensive end. You got to start there. You got to think about him versus Sauce Gardner. What do you want, a premium corner or a premium defensive end? Unfortunately, I think you got to go defensive end for Sauce's sake. I think he's going to be a good player, but give me Kayvon Thibodeau. Number 5, give me Icky from NC State, another tackle going to the Giants. Guy's a beast. They're going to give Daniel Jones one more year, see what he's got. The Giants haven't had a very good offensive line in a long time. Let's help give the guy a chance. Number 6, and we'll get back to this pick to discuss it a little bit later on. I get the Panthers going Evan Neal, tackle. And I like what you said earlier. Obviously, the Panthers, they likely want to trade back and want to get picks. There's 2 ways the Panthers could go with this pick if they stick at number 6, either tackle or quarterback. At this point, for the sake of trades. We don't know what's going to happen. I think that, hey, at this point, get the best tackle, one of the best tackles in the draft. There's 3 really, really good ones. Go ahead and grab a guy. Grab Evan Neal. He's a good player. Giants back up the pick at 7. Give me Kyle Hamilton, best safety in the draft. They need guys in the secondary. They kind of need a little bit of everything, but I think he's a good player. I got Sauce Gardner going 8 to the Falcons, which sucks for us, but good pick for them. They need talent everywhere, and they've already got the kid they drafted last year from Clemson or the year before, who's a really, really good corner there now. Pair him up with Sauce Gardner. You got a really good secondary. Number 9, I got Seattle going Jameson Williams, good wide receiver from Alabama. They need all the help they can get. And then the Jets getting Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. They need weapons, going to help Zach Wilson out a lot. Looking at some more of these picks, right after that, I got the Commanders going Drake London. They need help at receiver just a little bit. The Vikings, it wouldn't be drafted. The Vikings didn't pick a cornerback in the first round, so therefore they're picking Derek Stingley Jr. That's who they're picking. Then I got Trent McDuffie going to the Texans. I got Chris Olave going to the Saints at number 16. And then I would say a surprise pick here for me. I got the Saints picking Malik Willis at 19. Yes, they have Jameis Winston. They're trying to win with him now, but give this guy a year or two, let him sit. I feel like that's what the Saints might see there. And he could be really, really good. In my opinion, in your opinion, we want the Panthers to pick him, and we think he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft. I think the Saints get a steal with him. And the next pick after that, I got the Steelers going with Kenny Pickett. I'm like you. I'm not super high on Pickett, but I feel like it's a very Steelers pick. He's from Pitt, played college football there. Why not? I got the Patriots. They need receivers. They got Sky Moore. Give me the Packers. They need offensive linemen. They need help there. Give me Zion Johnson. Cardinals, good spot for Tyler Lindenbaum. Great pick for them. I got the Cowboys either going with Jordan Davis or Devontae Wyatt. They're both about the same players, same college. Cowboys are going to pick one of those guys. And that's really all the big picks I have. Later on in the draft, I've got some corners, some defensive linemen, guys getting taken. I could see the Lions, maybe taking another quarterback there. Maybe a Ritter or Matt Corral, however you say his name. But I've got them taking Jahan Dotson, wide receiver. I feel like they know they need a quarterback, but I feel like in this draft, they know that they can wait a year, get some good players in the first round, and then next year have a good chance to get the kid from Ohio State or the kid from Alabama. So I think they might just pump the brakes for another year, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe they'll pick up a guy later on in the rounds, maybe a Sam Howell or something like that. So that's my first round for you.
Nice work. I like Jahan Dotson. I see what you're saying for sure about the Lions. It totally makes sense for them to just wait it out one more year for one of these, star power quarterbacks. But, I don't know how they could sit there at 32 and not pick, Matt Corral. I think Matt Corral is a lot of people's favorite, or not favorite, but I think he's a lot. He's seen a lot more favorably by NFL, GMs and front offices than maybe people on the outside. Just a hunch. I don't know. I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens on draft night.
We will see what happens next Thursday, round 1. That's our first round mock draft, and we will keep looking at other mocks to get our hopes up or down to see where our favorite players get picked. But moving on, we're going to talk about the Panthers and that coveted 6th pick. There's so many scenarios, so many situations, so many ways to go. What will they do? Dave, we're going to start with you. At number 6, let's say the Panthers do not trade down. What is the pick? You don't have to give me the specific player, but you can give me the position or whatever you want to do. If the Panthers do not trade, what is the most likely scenario that they will pick? Not what you want, but they will pick.
Yeah, the pick is 100% if they don't trade back, which I think is what they'll do. The pick is 100% a quarterback or tackle. There's nothing else they can do. They are locked in on those positions. They have no choice based off the way last season went and, the last couple seasons it went. They don't have a choice. So I think for sure, if one of those top tackles fall, if Evan Neal falls, I think there's a good chance that's the pick. I think if Kwanu falls, I think there's a good chance that's the pick. But outside of those two guys, for me, it's got to be Malik Willis, right? I think that's the only quarterback anyone would consider taking that high.
And I agree with everything you said there. And I feel like a lot of people are mocking Kenny Pickett to the Panthers because it just seems the Panthers want to win now. Here's the thing. We've discussed this multiple times in the show, is that you've got two conflicting sides, really. You've got a head coach and a owner that want to win now. I wouldn't really call it going on a limb here, but I would say you've got a front office that is looking to keep building a team and not necessarily give everything up. I know they did give up picks last year. I think that was more of a Matt Rule call than a Scott Fitterer call. I stand by that. So you've got two sides. You got people that want to win now and then people that want to keep building. So where do you go? Obviously, if you go with tackle, I feel like you can't get that pick wrong. If you pick one of those three guys that they're there, I mean, it's almost as solid and as surefire of a pick as you're going to get. The Panthers haven't had a good left tackle since 2013. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. They have not had a good left tackle since Jordan Gross retired. So that's a good place. You can't really get that pick wrong unless the player's a bust. But I feel like the consensus would be if the Panthers, no matter what they do at quarterback, if they pick one of these left tackles, I couldn't see a fan or a expert being upset with that pick. So let's say they don't go left tackle. For me and you, we like the Malik Willis pick because we think he's the best quarterback and we think he has the most potential. And those are the two best things that you want to see whenever you're going for a pick for a franchise quarterback. I like the pick, and I hope they pick him personally, but I just don't see Matt Rule saying, I don't have time to try to develop a guy. I need to win now to save my job. But then again, the front office is saying, we're not worried about saving your job. We're trying to save our jobs and do what's best for the team. And it just really creates a tough situation to be in, because if you pick Kenny Pickett, you know he's going to be a starter. You know he's probably going to be a solid quarterback. But I know, people that watch the NFL know, you can't be just a solid quarterback and compete to win. It's just not going to work. You've got to have an elite quarterback. And in my opinion, if you want to have the chance to have an elite quarterback and to have a guy that's going to light up your franchise, you got to go with the guy that's got the most potential. If he sucks and he's a bust, okay, then he sucks and he's a bust, and we're set back for a couple of years. But I would rather take the guy that's got the most potential to be a star than a guy that's got already kind of at his ceiling, not a lot of room to work, and just give me Kirk Cousins for the next 10 years when I could potentially have Josh Allen, Cam Newton light quarterback mix. That's my opinion.
Well, here's the thing, Tanner. What can Kenny Pickett do that Sam Darnold can't do? If you pick Kenny Pickett, you're picking another Sam Darnold. They're almost the same player. Matter of fact, Sam Darnold would, if he was coming out in this draft class, would be seen as the better player.
He would be.
What do you gain by picking a Kenny Pickett? I don't think there's any way the Panthers are going to.
I think the way I'm not saying. When I see what they're saying, I'm saying what the analysts say, even though they don't know anything. They're seeing him as the surefire, pick to be the most solid pro-ready quarterback, which if you look at last year, I guess you could say he's the Mac Jones of the group, which Mac Jones had a solid year, but he didn't do anything that made you go, holy shit, this guy, we missed on him. I mean, you could go that route, but I just don't know why you'd want to do that. And it's not like, even if the Panthers pick Kenny Pickett, I don't think that makes them like a contender in the AFC. I mean, they could be like a wild card team, but I don't see them with that move being like, yes, this is the move that's going to get us to the top of the division. It's just
No.
not going to happen.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, you pick him and you basically have 2 Sam Darnolds on your roster. It's not like you're gaining anything. You draft a Malik Willis, and then you instantly have the 3rd or 4th best running quarterback in the league on your roster. 4th or 5th, top 5, we'll say. Top 5 best running quarterback, in the league on your roster. This is a guy who, by a lot of measures could probably be a top, you know, 4-round running back. I mean, the dude is great on his feet. He runs hard. In a lot of ways, he reminds me of, I think I've said this on here before, like a Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, combination. He's low to the ground, but he's well balanced. He runs hard. He's not scared to be physical. I think, if you draft a guy like that and then you tailor your offense around him the same way the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson when he was young, they let him sit the first year. When he comes in the second year and he balls out because they build an offense around him. Their offense is run first, a lot of play action passes, a lot of read option passes, and it opens up these windows where you can either take advantage of the defense trying to cheat up on the run, or if they decide Malik Willis is burning us with his arm, we can run the ball. And we saw the Panthers for years with Cam Newton. So if you take a guy and you surround him with the right offense and put him in a good situation where he can succeed, this guy has the tools to be something special. And I think, ideally you want to sit him for that first year. If that becomes impossible because of the way the season's going and you need him out on the field, you can at least tailor your offense so you're running the ball a lot. You're running, wildcatish type of offense where it's a lot of read option runs, and it's like you don't have to worry about him reading the defense as much. You just have to worry about him tucking the ball and getting 4 yards, or him making the a proper read on a defensive end and handing the ball off. You don't
Yeah.
have to put him in there and say, go read this defense in a, traditional pro style offense, and tell me, what the coverage is and find the guys in the holes. You can do different things with a quarterback like this.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. And I also kind of want to bring up the fact that let's say they pick Malik Willis. Okay, maybe he's not ready to go day one. That's fine. Bring back Cam Newton. You've got him. You've got Cam Newton, Malik Willis, PJ Walker, Sam Darnold. Let them fight it out and see what happens. Because to me, if I'm a professional athlete, if they told me, hey man, you're going to be the quarterback of this team, and then I don't have a good year, the next year they pick a quarterback in the first round, I'm going to be pissed, and that's going to light a fire under my ass. And I'm like, look, y'all don't think I can do it? Let me show you what I can do, and have a 4-way competition to see who's going to be what position and start where. I mean, just because you have guys doesn't mean he has to start day one. And I know people say, oh, Matt Rule, he's got to win now. He's got to win now to save his job. At the same time, if he picks a Malik Willis, maybe they don't start out so hot. Maybe later on in the season, they play him. He starts to play well. They win a couple games. That's something you can tip your hat on. Hey, I drafted this guy. I vouched for him. We put him in at the end of the season. Look what he was doing. This next year is going to be our year. So it does give you something to possibly hang your hat on, even if you don't end up winning a ton of games, to say, hey, look what this kid did. I picked him, and, he was exciting. He played well. And I feel like a pick like Malik Willis is what's going to be exciting for the franchise and for the team because of all the potential and what's there. I feel like if he got drafted, you're going to have Robbie Anderson hype. You're going to have DJ Moore hype. You're going to have Terrace Marshall hype. If you bring in a guy like Pickett, it's just going to be like, yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, even a Matt Corral, I mean, he's got a little bit of personality to him and he can throw. He's got a hell of an arm. I mean, at least you got to give us something to get excited about. And I feel like that's a Kenny Pickett pick. And guy, I feel like I'm really shitting on the guy. I'm not trying to. I don't know him personally. If he may be a fine quarterback, he may be. I just don't feel like it's the right pick for this situation, even though it might happen.
Yeah, like I said, it just feels like a sidestep. have Sam Darnold on the roster that's basically the same guy. So if you're going to go after a quarterback, man, you need to swing for the fences as we've been saying. And but I think if I'm being upfront about it, as much as I like Malik Willis, I think I like the idea of trading back and getting Matt Corral in the second round, um, or Desmond Ritter in the second round, along with garnering some picks. I might like that idea more than I like taking a Malik Willis at 6. But if you're talking about we have to take somebody right now with this pick, who do you want it to be? Then yes, I would like it to be Malik Willis. But you know, who knows? We might be able to trade back and still grab Malik Willis.
I
Who
think
knows?
I think they could. I mean, if they go back, you don't want to go too far back. If they're at 6, I think the furthest they want to go is maybe like anywhere between 7 and 15, 16, and none of those teams there really scream quarterback to me. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I feel like it's entirely possible if you want to drop back 6, 7, 8 picks, and then you could still have a chance at your guy, and you've got an additional second or third round pick. I think that's entirely possible. And I am in the same camp as you with saying that, I wouldn't mind a trade back. I think it would be good because I think there's some, as long as they don't go too far, they're still going to get a guy that can come in and impact and help right away. Um, and I look at a guy like a Desmond Ritter or a guy like Sam Howell, where you could get a guy late in a second or a third, and you can see what happens. And then if it doesn't work out, hey, this guy was a second round pick. We took a chance. Maybe he's not what we thought he was. And you know what? That's that. So, I mean, there's options to play with. I'm sure the Panthers have been in talks with people about who they might trade back with. I'm fine with a trade back, and I think they can get a player they like if they don't go too far back, maybe 6, 7 picks total. You don't want to go too far deep because you don't want to get leapfrogged by the Saints or the Steelers or those are kind of the only teams that really maybe the Commanders. Maybe they would take a quarterback. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're certainly a team to keep an eye on. I think Seattle and Atlanta as well, right behind us, really, because Atlanta's got Mariota for this year, but they don't know what they're doing after that. And then Seattle obviously just lost Russell Wilson, so those are two teams to keep an eye on. At the top of that list, and then like you said, the Steelers and the Saints, closer to the bottom of the list, are a couple teams to keep an eye on. But the way things lay right now, if the Panthers like a guy enough to make him their next quarterback, then go for it. So do what you got to do, but it's probably best case scenario that they trade back, get some of those picks back, and you could still probably get one of these quarterbacks. But there are teams who need quarterbacks, and we just did it with our mock drafts. We saw, I think, 3 and 4 quarterbacks in our mock drafts. So we don't really know what it's going to look like. They might have to wait till next year for a quarterback. And if they do, trade back and acquire some picks, and try to build that team up, get a quarterback later. There's a good chance that quarterback could be Baker Mayfield. Apparently, the idea of Baker Mayfield landing in Charlotte is rearing its ugly head once again. But what are your thoughts on that?
Listen, I'm not opposed to the idea, but it's going to have a lot of stipulations and things that need to be made that I don't even know would be possible. First off, the contract has got to be somehow covered in a way where we're not really liable for much paying him. We're already in that situation with Sam Darnold. We can't afford to pay 2 okay guys at quarterback for 30, 40 million total. I mean, there's things that Baker has done that I've liked on the field. I mean, I think when he's healthy, he's an accurate guy. I think he's got a big arm. But something about his personality I don't know. It just doesn't fit with me. But you know, I'm not really big on retreads with guys, and to me, it would have to be what he's about to be in his fourth year, right? I think fourth year,
Yeah. No. No, he's about to be in his 5th year.
fifth.
Yep.
Okay, so you know, I just the only way I would do it is if, and we would have to give up. We can't afford any draft picks to give up, which I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, obviously, we pick a quarterback, it's not going to happen, but there's not really a whole lot that the Panthers can give up to get a guy like him. I would be down for it if they, you know, they had little to no responsibility. It was just a 1 year, kind of see how it works. We're not going to guarantee you anything for the next year for a contract. We're not going to, you know, pretend that, hey, if you play well, like we'll give you a big deal or whatever, or you'll be the franchise quarterback of our team. I mean, it would have to be essentially a 1 year prove it deal. If it works, we'll keep you. If you're gone, if you suck, it doesn't work, goodbye, you're done. And I feel like Panther fans are kind of done with retread of quarterbacks. Not saying Baker. I like Baker more than I like Darnold. I think Baker's being just a little bit more underrated than people are really giving him credit for. I think he's a little bit better than what people are saying. But, I don't want to give up a ton to get him. And I know the Browns want that. And there could be a good chance that he might be sitting for a good part of the year because I don't know a lot of teams that are going to be willing to give up what they want to get him.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. The Browns have really painted themselves into a corner with this Baker Mayfield situation because they've already got Jacoby Brissett on their roster, obviously Deshaun Watson, and then they also have Josh Dobbs on the roster. So they have their 3 quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield's not participating in team activities right now. He's not in the building. So everybody knows he's not really part of the team. He's only technically part of the team. So no one is going to make the effort to go trade for him when he's already not a hot commodity. People aren't crazy about him anyway already. No one's going to make the effort to go trade for him when he knows at some point, when everyone knows at some point they're going to have to release him. So
Yep.
at some point he's going to get cut. If the Panthers come out of this draft without a quarterback, there is a good chance they'll be the team who calls him. It'll probably be, them or Seattle or Atlanta or Pittsburgh maybe. The only thing that comes up is, if that situation arises, like I just said, you could have a team like Pittsburgh or New Orleans make an offer to Baker if he's a free agent, and then that's a much more attractive destination than Carolina. So he'd probably choose to go there, take his chances with a better team than he would with Carolina. But if you're talking about a trade, I mean, it'd probably be a 6-round pick tops, or a 6-round pick and they give you a pick back with Baker Mayfield. Exchange 6-round picks and then Baker Mayfield's, on the, something like that. A 5th and Baker in a 6th. Who knows what it would look like. But as far as the player himself, I mean, I'm like you. I'm not crazy about the guy at all. When he was coming out of college, dude, I couldn't stand him. As he spent some time in the NFL, I've kind of become okay with him. And I agree with what you said. I mean, I think he has gotten a little underrated. Like I said, I don't like the guy. I don't think he's, all that, but I don't think he's as bad as people act like he is. I think I said this last time we had this discussion. The Browns didn't have a quarterback for 30 years. And then he took them, to the playoffs. And if I recall correctly, they won a playoff game, right? I don't remember, but
Yep.
He got him there, and that's something that quarterbacks in Cleveland couldn't do for a long, long, long time. And yeah, he had a good team around him. He did, but it's the city really embraced him for a while. It wasn't until here recently in this last year where they decided they couldn't stand him anymore. But for a while, they loved the guy. So obviously he had some. Go ahead. I'll say obviously he had some injury issues and things like that. So, if you put him in the right situation, I mean, I think he could succeed. I could see it. It's not crazy. I mean, he's won in the past. He's even as early as the beginning of last year, they had the Chiefs on the ropes in week 2 or week 3, whatever that matchup was. So it's not like this dude has never been able to play football. But I'm not – it's not my first choice. I'll tell you that. But I'd much rather have Baker Mayfield than Sam Darnold next year, 100%, I'm not trying to watch Sam Darnold anymore. In a good situation, he might be all right. I mean, we've got some weapons on offense. We've got Christian McCaffrey. Ben McAdoo's shown that he can have success on the offensive side of the ball in the league. Who knows? It might work. It's
Yeah.
crazier things have happened, but it's not my first choice.
I mean, it's a possibility. It's something that I think we're going to entertain, especially after the draft. We'll see what happens, but I'm in the same. Excuse me. I'm in the same kind of mindset that you are about that. I mean, it could be worse, but like I said, I would rather take him over Darnold. I just don't want a ton of commitment. I don't want a ton of money tied up in it, just in case it doesn't work, because we are seeing the repercussions of that at this moment. Whenever we did that with Sam Darnold, picked up its option, and here we are. So, we'll see what happens. But I like the point that you made that, I mean, no one's really tearing down the doors to trade for him, and his value is going to get lower and lower. And I mean, if no one trades for him, which likely will probably not happen, he'll probably get cut. And then no one had to give up anything for him other than a contract or, whatever they signed him to. So, we'll see. I mean, it's something that he will be on a new team next year. I think there's no doubt about that. Just don't know where at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing I kind of want to talk to you about is Kyler Murray an option for the Panthers? This article coming from the Panthers Wire. Now, in the offseason, the Cardinals and Kyler Murray haven't exactly been gelling. He took him off his Instagram or something social media wise. I don't know. I don't really pay that much attention to Instagram, but I think he took the Cardinals off his Instagram. He wants a new contract. He's not happy. They think he's immature. A lot of the similar issues that the Browns had with Baker Mayfield. They don't feel like he's a great leader, blames other people when the team's not finding success. So the Panthers would be an interesting trade partner for the Cardinals. They have a top 6 pick in the draft. Pair a couple of first-round picks, maybe another pick, Sam Darnold, ship his ass out to Arizona where he can bake in the sun and get a nice sunburn that he deserves for making us suffer last year. And then the Panthers bring in a guy like Kyler Murray, a dude who's when he's on is a baller. He can scramble, he can throw, he can duck under everybody because he's 4'7". Who knows? If this opportunity arises, if the opportunity arose, would you be interested in seeing the Panthers trade for Kyler Murray?
Yes and no. I know that's a very boring answer, so let me pick a side.
Feed the baby birds. Feed the baby birds, Tanner. They're hungry. They're hungry for knowledge.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Okay, I like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray as a player a lot. I think a lot of people are underrating him. I think, like you said, when he's on, he's a freaking beast. And at some points last year, when the Cardinals were, undefeated for a while and making a run, I mean, he was in conversation for MVP. I mean, he was having a fantastic year. He got hurt a little bit at the end of the year. They get into the playoffs, so they get absolutely steamrolled. I mean, I haven't seen a loss like that in the playoffs in a while. It was a beat down. But I cannot blame all of that on him. However, I don't know if, and this is where I'm kind of iffy here. I don't know if this is just a modern player thing or just maybe the front office just isn't getting along with the players, but we saw it come out today. Deebo Samuel wants to trade for a contract. A.J. Brown wants to trade for a contract. Kyler Murray wants to trade. It's just these guys have, one really, really good year. And I think Kyler's had in the past, he's had some really, really good years as well. But after they had their best year, they want a new contract and they don't really care what anyone has to say. And after coming off a playoff performance like last year, I think Kyler Murray's a baller, but and I don't know if you really have a lot of room to really have a ton of say because you guys got completely shown up in the playoffs and you were definitely a part of that. And I think when he's on, he's an amazing player. And don't get me wrong, if the opportunity arose and the Cardinals could trade or we could trade for him for honestly not giving up like an insane amount, then yes, I would do it. I would absolutely be crazy not to. I think when he's on, he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback. He's amazing. It's just some of the off the field stuff. It just, not saying it scares me, but it just, it makes me a little shy of going all in on a guy who, after only playing for X amount of years, he's already wanting a new contract. I mean, at the same time, the Cardinals have a really good team. I'm not saying they're Super Bowl contenders, but I mean, they're definitely a playoff team. And when healthy, why would you want to get out of that situation knowing that there's not really a better situation you're going to go to than the one you're in now? You've got a coach that's designed the offense for you. You've got weapons. You have a solid defense. I don't think he's going to get traded. I think this is just the way that newer era players are just showing their frustration. I get it, guys want to get paid, and I'm all in favor of guys get paid because the NFL was not for long, and you got to get your money while you can. But at the same time, you got to look at it from the front office perspective. I mean, they just can't cut new contracts every single year after you had a good year. And I just think, and I agree with the Cardinals at this point. I actually do. I think that they want to see a little bit more. Not saying they don't believe in Kyler, because I know they do, and they want to sign him. And I think they do. But I think they just want to see a little bit more professionalism, but just more leadership in a way that a lot of people wanted to see more leadership from Cam Newton when he was first coming out. He had a couple good, his rookie and sophomore year, he was really, really good. His first and second year, he was solid, but people wanted to see him take that next leadership step and that next development step. And then the following year, we made the playoffs. And then from then on and so forth, Cam became our leader. And I think they just want to see a little bit more than that. So bottom line, I would do the trade if it wasn't crazy, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
So real quick, just to go back to what you were saying about, him not being in the right position to ask for a contract. I agree with what you're saying as far as the fact that last year ended very poorly, but you also just mentioned there was a point where they were 8-0, 10-0, whatever. They were on fire. And I think,
and guess who beat them? With Colt McCoy under center.
Dude, definitely the highlight of the season.
It was. That was our highlight of the year. Cam Newton return / beating a Colt McCoy-led Cardinals team.
Yeah. So the thing I always think back to is Earl Thomas, okay? He was a guy in this situation where he was kind of pressured to play when he didn't want to, and then what happened? Broke his leg, blew his knee out, whatever it was. The famous shot of him flipping the bird to his own sideline as he's carted off the field, because they pressured him into playing when he didn't feel comfortable because he didn't get his contract, and he was never the same after that injury. He never got the money he felt he deserved. That's tough. That's a tough situation.
It is
I think players see that and they're like, no, that's not going to be me. And I also think in the last, 10 years or so, we've seen, especially at the quarterback position, and we're seeing it happen with wide receivers, it's emerging that these guys are realizing how important they are to the NFL. The NFL needs them way more than they need the NFL. Look at Antonio Brown. This dude's fine. Look at, Chad Johnson. These are guys who kept making money without the NFL and did just fine because they're famous faces. They're celebrities. They can go here, do, an interview here, do a podcast here. They can still make money doing whatever they do. They can still, get commercials or advertisements. They can find a way to make money without the NFL. The NFL needs star power. What is the NFL without Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers? These guys just got gigantic contracts. Devontae Adams, gigantic contract. Debo Samuel demanding a trade because he knows he's a star. These guys are realizing that at the end of the day, the NFL wants to make money, and they're not going to make money unless the stars are on the field. Okay, so those stars want their share of the money, and they're seeing, what type of show they attract, what type of crowds they attract. It's all a show, and you can't have a show without the actors.
No, and I agree with you 10,000%. And I'm all in favor of players getting their money while they can, because like I said, it's not for long. And to me, I think at the end of the day, Arizona's going to end up getting them a contract, and I think they'll get it settled. Listen, if Aaron Rodgers can resign with the Packers, and Kyler Murray can resign with the freaking Cardinals, okay,
Yeah,
it can
absolutely.
happen. So I think it's going to get done. I like Kyler as a player, and I think for the most part he's going to be fine. I think some of that stuff might be just scaring them a little bit. I'm all in favor of guys getting contracts and getting. I think when the new CBA comes up, which I think will be probably soon, relatively soon. I can't remember.
It's got to be soon, because the last one was, I believe, was Cam Newton's rookie year.
2011, so it means 2022. It's got to be. I have to look it up, but the way things are going right now with contracts, and it's just not going to be, to me, and this is kind of a different subject, but I just want to touch on it real quick. This is not sustainable for long-term, team building. When, how are you going to feel when you're the guy that's, you're a good quality starting player in your team, and the other quarterback's getting 50, 60, $100 million guaranteed a year. Where are you getting a year? 5 million, 7 million? I just feel like at some point there's going to be this tipping point with players in these contracts in the front office. It's just like, I know they want to pay their guys, and the NFL needs the stars, and they need it, and they want to have the guys playing, but there's got to be some sort of something, because the whole idea is now that people are trying to, hey, let's dump this guy after 4 or 5 years so we don't got to pay him anything, and we'll just go draft a new guy. It's just, I hate the fact that comes to that, because you don't want to re-sign a player because the money's out there, but the guy wants to make his money. I don't know. I just feel like at some point, that it's not going to be sustainable. Something's going to have to happen. Either the salary cap is going to have to be restructured, or contracts for rookies are going to have to be restructured. I'm not sure. Something's going to have to happen, because you got guys on their second, third year of their rookie deal, and they're talking about re-signing to this contract. From a front office perspective, that's a tough thing to do.
Well, I think it just always sounds absurd. I think this is something that's been going on forever. I think it's just like an endless cycle. And I think, every time it gets to this point where guys start receiving these contracts that seem so absurd, it just seems so crazy, because no one's ever touched that kind of money before. But if you go back, 15 years, there was a time where Terrell Owens got a $40 million contract. Can you believe they're giving Terrell Owens $40 million to play football? Are you kidding me? It's a game. They're giving Terrell Owens $40 million? And this is the same thing, just 15 years later,
Correct.
Now it's Patrick Mahomes signed a $500 million contract. And I do think that, it does take away from the team when guys are making, big portions of the salary cap are going to, a few guys on the team or whatever. But I also think that it's just, every generation of players kind of lays the foundation for the guys behind them. And I think this has just been going on since as long as football has been around. As long as there's an NFL PA, there's going to be guys getting paid more, and it's going to always seem absurd. But as time goes on, eventually that Terrell Owens $40 million contract, that's nothing. What did the Jaguars just spend on wide receivers that people barely even know this offseason? Those guys were getting $20 million a season. There was a time where those numbers were insane. So I think it just never ends. But, that's not really the topic. That's neither here nor there. As our good
Real
friend,
quick, you remember when Cam Newton was up for his deal and they were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're going to pay Cam Newton $100 million."
right? Exactly. There's a time where that was absurd to get $100 million contract, and now it's like everyone gets $100 million.
That now that's like going to Dollar General and getting a quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. But anyway, I want to refocus on what the question was, because the idea of Kyler Murray playing next to Christian McCaffrey is pretty cool. I mean, you could do some pretty cool stuff with that, especially, as far as read options go and halfback options and, all kinds of cool stuff. So,
I'm in my final say on that is that I don't think it's going to happen, but if the opportunity presents itself and the Panthers have a chance to do it and they can, get him without giving up their whole team, then by all means, give it a shot. What do you have to lose? So
yeah.
I am on board if it's reasonable and we can get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I agree with you in the sense that I just don't see how this could possibly happen. But if it was to happen, or if it were to happen, I don't see how you couldn't consider a trade package similar to what you were going to offer for Deshaun Watson. Maybe not 3 first-round picks,
Yeah.
but something similar.
I mean, it would be. I mean, in the reports that were coming out, God, I don't miss the Deshaun Watson thing. That was the longest week of my life.
Dude, that was as long as a year of our life. What are you talking about, dude? That went on forever.
Basically, it was reported. I don't know how accurate it is that the Panthers were pretty much going to give up all draft capital to get him. I don't really think they were going to give up any key players, which was great because now that makes sense. If you go look at the trade that they just made with the Browns, they give up all draft capital. That's it. So you never know. I mean, it's possible. I mean, if you give up draft capital for Kyler Murray, you keep McCaffrey, you keep your guys. That's tough to say no to. That's tough to say no to.
Yeah, and I think what is important, I don't know for sure, but he's on a rookie deal, so I would assume not. I would assume he wouldn't have a no trade clause. I don't think any rookie deals have those. So
No, he
it wouldn't be the exact same where he's picking his destination like Deshaun Watson was. So if the Panthers came with an offer that was too good for the Cardinals to refuse, well, they'd send his ass to Charlotte and he'd just have to go. And you'd probably hate it, but that's where you'd have to go. So anyway, it's something that you can't – if the opportunity actually came about, you would have to pursue it. But it's hard to believe that would actually happen. But
correct.
Crazier things have happened. So we'll see.
Crazy things have happened, and crazier things are going to happen next Thursday when the Panthers go to the NFL draft. I don't even know where the draft is this year. Where is it? I feel like it's in a different town.
Las Vegas, I believe.
Las Vegas.
Or was that last year?
I don't know, but I mean, lately
next year it's in Cleveland, unless that's this year. I don't know.
It's anyone that's going to the draft.
I wish they'd stop moving it.
For any players that are going to the draft, any coaches, scouts, fans, this is my PSA to you. Don't do anything stupid because, God, we've seen it happen here in the past year or so with guys getting in trouble in Vegas. Unfortunately, some of that leading to worse things.
Don't get caught smoking a gas mask hours before the draft.
And if you've done it, delete your videos now. I'll never forget that. That was absolutely hilarious.
Dude, don't talk to anybody for the next 2 weeks.
Don't say anything because they will come to you to be like, anybody. Hey, new report coming out. Aiden Hutchinson broke up with his girlfriend in 5th grade. He's a bad guy. Don't draft him.
He broke up with his girlfriend via text in middle school. Are we sure we can trust his character?
Are we sure we can
trust top draft pick?
But I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't expect anything crazy to happen before the draft. Just a ton of smoke, ton of speculation. But this is the quietest I've really had hype for or media hype for a draft. I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen. But at the same time, that makes it fun because there could be a lot of trades. It could be some random, in the top 10 that we pretty much have the same players. I guarantee you at least one or two of those guys are not in our top 10 that will show up. That's just how it is. So it'll be fun. Either way, I don't think I think the only way the Panthers mess this up, and God knows it's possible, is if they pick Kenny Pickett at 6. I think that is the most boring and worst scenario possible. If they trade back and they pick him, fine. At least they traded back and got a pick. If they stay at 6, they get a tackle, they get Malik Willis. Hell, they could even pick Sauce Gardner. I'd be hyped. There's
Yeah.
guys that they can pick. As long as they don't stay at 6 and pick him, and then that's that. I'm okay with whatever they do.
I'll say this. A lot of draft analysts have Kenny Pickett going to the Panthers because of the Matt Rule connection and because he's the most pro-ready quarterback, quote unquote. But I'll say this. This might be the ultimate test for our measuring stick for us to see how much say Matt Rule has. Because if Matt Rule is still the one calling the shots, which we don't think he is, none of the fan base thinks he's still the one calling shots as he was, a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, it was pretty obvious he was. If he's the one calling the shots, then maybe there is a good chance Kenny Pickett is the guy because of that connection and because he needs a pro-ready quarterback because he needs to win some damn football games so he doesn't get fired. But assuming Scott Fitterer, the man who's supposed to be making long-term decisions for the team, is the one calling the shots now, which he wasn't at first. We don't know how much say he had in last year's draft when the Panthers did that, in-depth draft reality show thing. It seemed like Matt Rule had a lot of say. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
we'll see this year if Scott Fitterer is the one who gets the final say because we don't need any more Chuba Hubbards. We don't need texts from our wife saying you should draft this player. And I think if you're Scott Fitterer and you're looking out for the long-term success of your football team, you're going to turn your phone off because you're in the middle of a draft and you want to, find quality football players to build the future of your team. So we will see who's calling the shots.
I agree 100%, and I will say that if it's the front office that's making the moves, they will not pick Kenny Pickett at 8. And I hope that's what's going to happen, but we shall see. But thank you guys for –
My dog just texted me on my Roku remote. He said, draft a point guard.
Okay. Well,
trade up and draft the point guard.
You heard it there first. That's Panthers draft logic, just sitting back, throwing darts, and like, all right, that's who we're going to pick. But you know who I wish we had just for the first round? Marty Hurry.
Dude, wait, that's a good idea.
just for
the first round, like the.
And then after that, you can go back to the Commanders.
The first round general manager. That's like all these.
The guy, he never misses in the first round. He's been good.
You know who missed a lot in the first round? Dave Gettleman. Looking back, man, those picks were bad.
Man, I don't think he had a single good pick.
Kelvin Benjamin, Shaq Thompson, and Vernon Butler.
I'll give Shaq Thompson credit.
And he had Christian McCaffrey too.
Okay, I'll give him that.
But I mean, it's hard to, miss on Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. So, but all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Had a good time talking about everything. We'll see what happens. We may do depends on what our plans are, but we may do we might come on live after the Panthers pick, maybe on our Instagram page or just live on YouTube, just to get our initial reaction to see what we think. So that way we can either piss and moan or be excited. Who knows?
There's only one way we'll piss and moan, I think. And knowing the Panthers, it's pretty possible.
It is very possible.
But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you. Subscribe. We're super close to 300. Let's get there, baby.
Yep. Subscribe. Help out the channel. We're trying to run it up, as the kids say. Peace out.
Good night.